My name is Cora Martin, and my project exposes a new challenge for peacemaking and post-Civil War reconstruction. Ongoing cycles of violence fueled by peacetime deforestation and environmental destruction. A peace period following civil war will never automatically revitalize the natural environment. Rather, when civil war has for years eroded environmental institutions, weak institutional oversight incentivizes bad actors to open illegal industries in the newly conflict-free forests. Rapid deforestation places enormous stress on a nation's people, disrupting socioeconomic systems, amplifying poverty, and displacing communities. Widespread environmental stress then increases the likelihood that conflict or civil war will reemerge. This is the conflict-peace deforestation cycle. The first major stage of the cycle is the emerging stage. Civil war erodes institutions. Peacemaking reduces violence, but fails to invest in those environmental institutions particularly. This peaceful environment, lacking environmental rule of law, incentivizes illegal post-war deforestation. South Sudan is a country which has experienced a complete cycle of environmental violence. Deforestation during the Second Sudanese Civil War was low, as commercial forestry halted, agricultural production declined, and sawmills closed down. By the start of the peace process to end the Second Sudanese Civil War in 2002, illegal deforestation in the region that would become South Sudan in 2011 destroyed forests and caused a large-scale land change. This is the emerging stage. When previously unsafe regions become conflict-free, exhausted environmental institutions can do little to prevent illegal forest exploitation. This brings us to the next major stage of the conflict-peace deforestation cycle, the transitional stage. At this point, illegal post-war deforestation has degraded forests and placed enormous environmental stress on different communities. Widespread forest loss worsens drought and desertification, the availability of arable land, and mass migration. Frequent conflicts over scarce resources escalate, becoming more violent. Deforestation increased food insecurity and poverty in South Sudan. In response, pastoralist groups relocated to already occupied wetter areas of the state, where food and water would be more available. Tension and even armed conflict took place between these different groups. South Sudan's Minister of Wildlife declared that she was interested in conservation, but lacked the funding. The government simply did not possess the resources to manage forests sustainably during the peace period. Finally, a nation has reached the protracted stage of the conflict-peace deforestation cycle when civil war breaks out again. Then the cycle starts over. This figure is a general model of post-war cycles of environmental violence that can occur when a nation's environmental institutions are not given sufficient resources to manage deforestation. The South Sudanese Civil War was in part caused by competition between different warring pastoralist groups. Post-war deforestation diminished access to viable land and water across South Sudan. Almost 400,000 lives were lost, and millions were displaced. The war ended in 2020, and although deforestation during the South Sudanese Civil War went down, environmental stress will continue to incite cycles of violence until South Sudan has the capacity to enforce environmental laws and protect its forests. The United States has a new opportunity to promote long-term international peace and security. By delivering bilateral aid that invests in environmental institutions, post-Civil War states can tackle the issue of illegal deforestation. In doing so, U.S. aid will stabilize high-conflict states and regions, mitigate climate change, and set the global standard for sustainable foreign assistance. Research on the issue of post-war deforestation, as well as the link between deforestation and conflict, should propagate across foreign assistance institutions. Agenda-setting stakeholders should review and share around this research. In the short term, relevant actors at USAID, the Department of Defense, and the Department of State may convene with environmental experts to consider how foreign assistance to promote long-term peace and security could consistently make environmental considerations. All of the relevant stakeholders can then produce a standard operating procedure for involving environmental experts in decision-making for aid allocation to civil war and post-war states. In the medium term, the President can issue a memorandum ordering foreign assistance agencies to expand the scope of peace and security aid to include environmental security. Issuing this memo will encourage agencies to carry out recommendations from environmental experts when delivering peace and security assistance to states undergoing civil war. In the long term, the United States can rebrand USAID as a sustainable, long-term approach to foreign assistance. In adopting this approach, the United States has both the opportunity to increase global resilience to environmental change and improve U.S. opinion abroad. Ongoing cycles of deforestation and violence create instability that can infiltrate the international system. Desertification, climate change, and food insecurity, fueled by deforestation, lead to global insecurity. However, the natural environment can reinforce long-term peace if states have the capacity to control illegal deforestation. To break these cycles and give states that capacity, U.S. foreign aid is key to creating sustainable futures for post-war states worldwide. Thank you.